welcome back to the channel. So as you guys know, we are wrapping up Anna's first year. We just celebrated her first birthday literally 2 days ago. So we've been reflecting back, and we decided to do a video based on those conversations that we've been having. And it's basically, we're going to talk about maybe some of the things that we did as parents, as first-time parents, that are, I guess, less common. And we're kind of going to reflect back and see what we did like about our parenting this first year, what we learned, and like what we would do differently and what we do the same and why, and kind of share some of our parenting views a little bit. So my notes are on my phone if I'm looking down, but we already talked about it. The thing on our list that we talked about that we would do again, that we did with Anna, that's a little controversial, I guess. Not really, but some people have strong feelings about it. No sleep training. So a lot of people sleep train their kids, spend a lot of time researching and planning and learning and trying to sleep train, and we didn't do that. We decided not to sleep train. And honestly, it was, I don't know how do we really come to that, but honestly, here's the thing. When Anna was first born, our pediatrician recommended that, I know there's some people that don't do this, and that's, you know, your baby, your pediatrician, your decision. It's also, every baby's different, but for Anna, our pediatrician recommended that you do wake the baby up every 3 hours. Like, if they don't wake up to eat, that you still wake them up, and they're supposed to eat every 3 hours until they are over 12 pounds.
Yeah, and we know, you know, it can be difficult, and you know, for some, like we're saying, you know, a lot of sleepless nights and things like that. But it is something that, I mean,
she kind of said that that's like the healthiest diet. And the thing is that for Anna, we weren't even really waking her up anyway, because she was like a little clock. She would wake up every 3 hours on her own, but so we barely had to wake her up. So that lent itself to, you know, she was a newborn, and you don't really sleep train a newborn. They wake up every 2 to 3 hours. They eat every 2 to 3 hours. That's just how it goes. And like I said, I was breastfeeding and formula feeding, supplementing with formula, and that's just how it went. And then after that, once she was over that, and she was over 12 pounds, that was about 4 months, and she started sleeping through the night, but then she did have some sleep regressions, and we did talk about sleep training, and I did research it a little bit, and I don't know, a lot of the sleep training methods kind of lean into, not all of them, but a lot of them lean towards the side of like crying it out, and I just wasn't comfortable with that. I'm okay now with her crying it out for certain things. Like if Anna's having a tantrum for no reason because she's a toddler, sometimes I'll let her cry it out for a few minutes and kind of be in her feelings and learn how to deal with those feelings. But as a newborn baby that was just 3 months, if she's crying for a need. You know, to me, 3-month-old, 4-month-old, 5-month-old, they don't have tantrums. They cry for a need, even if that need is just comfort. And especially as someone who was doing intense bonding and had waited so long to have a baby, I wanted to hold my baby. I wanted to comfort my baby and show my baby all that love. And so it didn't come naturally to me to say that I should let my 6-month-old cry it out when she's not having a tantrum. She's crying for comfort, probably, or for food, or for something that she's uncomfortable with. And so because most of the sleep training kind of goes along with that, it just didn't lend itself to us, and we just decided not to do it. And honestly, we learned that for, at least for our daughter, and when we spoke to our pediatrician, probably most kids, the sleep regressions really only came when she needed to increase her diet.
Yes, that's a big, you know, when she needed to increase her quality of milk. Yeah, because you'll notice, because if your baby's like, you know, sleeping through the night with no issues, then you know you're on the right track for something. And this is totally separate from the waking up every 3 hours,
this is when they're older. Like we noticed, like she started sleeping through the night at 4 months once she hit those 12 pounds, just like the doctor said she would. And we thought, oh, we got so lucky. But then at 6 months, she did have a sleep regression, but it was because she was supposed to start solids. And then once we did start solids and she was eating a consistent solids with milk, that sleep went back to normal. So for us, we didn't feel the need to even go back to the conversation of, do we really need to sleep train for our own mental health? Because we would because it was like, she would have those sleepless nights and she would have those sleep regressions, and it was hard, but it was temporary also because it fell in line with the diet. It was more like, I'm just extra hungry and I just need more food now because I'm a growing baby. And once we did that, she always kind of slept good. Now there are nights where Anna still wakes up for teething or for nightmares, but they're very far and few and in between at this point. And they also are not long stretches of time. Like normally she'll wake up, she has a nightmare, we come for her, she goes back to bed. I have heard that some kids have like a struggle of a sleep regression when they hit a year. So far we're doing good with that, but we just hit a year. If she does have a sleep regression, we would have to revisit the conversation of sleep training, because like I said, she's a toddler now, so crying it out is a little bit different. But it never lent itself to me, so that would be something that if we had another baby, I wouldn't sleep train right away. Maybe I would in a toddlerhood, and obviously having 2 kids is different, but if I didn't have to, it's not something I had experience in, and it's not something we did, and it's not something we thought was necessary. So if I didn't have to, I probably would do it the same way we did with Anna and just follow more of a timed, scheduled diet, and it worked for us. And the second one kind of goes along with the whole bonding type of thing, which is, we talked about in another video, we cocooned with Anna, which if you guys didn't know and didn't watch that video, go watch the whole video. But that's basically when you intentionally bond with your newborn and you set a period of time after the birth where you don't have visitors right away, and you just cocoon and basically nest and bond with just whoever lives in your household. So for us with Anna, that was me, Sam, and Charlie, our dog, because he did bond with Anna as well, even though he's a pet. And obviously if we have a second child, when we have a second child, it will include Anna, because we want her to have a good relationship with a future sibling. But I would definitely do that again, and maybe even for a little bit longer this time, especially because we have another child. And it wouldn't be as easy to bond with our newborn because you also have to take care of your other child. So it would be a little bit different, and maybe we would even need a little bit more time and a little bit more cocooning, I would say. I don't know, things could change, but that's where I feel right now. The third one is bonding. So besides cocooning, I think we just did intentional bonding in general.
Yeah, a lot of skin to skin, or just, when we did take those moments, like let's say I just wanted to hold her for just because, where me and her would just maybe watch TV, or she, put her in between, like right on my chest facing forward, and sometimes she'd play PlayStation with me.
Like really enjoying our baby, and really being appreciative of the fact that we got to have this blessing and this miracle. And that doesn't change when we have our second child. Like it just gets better. So being intentional about bonding is something we did, and something we would definitely continue. The next one is teaching her things early on. So a lot of people would say, oh, she's too young for this, or she's too young for that, and we kind of did it anyway. And I don't think the things we did she was actually too young for. I think maybe people just don't do them. Like, can you give an example?
Teaching her stuff early, like, okay, like, well, this is gonna kind of connect to the next one later, but so I'm part Spanish, and I grew up always speaking Spanish in my mom's house, and that's how I communicate with my mother and a lot of my other family members. Not as much anymore because many of them know English now, but growing up, that's how we communicate. And so teaching her stuff early, like teaching her how to certain Spanish words, come here and things like that, making her allows Anna to understand what's going on. And there have been some who say like, oh, it's too early to speak Spanish to them,
or you're confusing them because they're too young, and you're speaking to them in like 2 or 3 different languages. That kind of opinion. And
that's actually scientifically inaccurate. If I've studied this stuff as well, so Justine, like, it's actually very good for her to hear all these different languages.
Actually, before the age of 3, it's easier for you to learn new languages, so it's harder after. So if you want to learn a new language, the best thing for your parents can do is teach you early.
Yes, and she does understand, and she understands like when Justine calls to her, when I call to her.
She understands when we say to stop doing something. She doesn't always listen, but she understands because she'll like smirk. It's more of a wicked thing than like I don't want to stop. But most times she does listen.
So that's like one thing I definitely wouldn't change. Teaching her stuff early, and even with the next baby, teaching them stuff early.
Yeah, but also like another like controversial one I thought about was like there's 2 actually, which is like the cognitive stuff that I did with her. So like I think I showed them in a video. They're like these that you could get them on Amazon. You can actually get the whole 12-month pack, and it divides it between newborn to 3 months, 3 months to 6 months, 6 months to 9 months, and then 9 months to 12 months. And there are these cards, and they're like the black and white cards, or they add color as the baby gets older. Basically, they're cards that you do different visual exercises with your baby. You do it for like, when they're newborns, you do it for literally like less than 5 minutes a day. As they get older, it's like 10 minutes a day. And then now with her as a toddler, it's like 10 to 15 minutes a day. So it doesn't take that much of your time. It is bonding and it is learning. And it supports brain development. It supports eye coordination, eye development. It supports creativity, brain function, different things. I'll just link the cards in the description box, and then you guys can research it for yourself and have the link if you wanted to check it out more. But basically doing that, I started that with her literally like at 3 weeks old. And we did it every single day, and now we do it like every other day because I do different activities with her every day. So if you guys didn't know, I work from home, so I'm with her, and so part of our day scheduled into it is like she has time where she plays independently, but also she has time where she plays with me. And when she plays with me, I try to do like more of her learning toys that she has to actually learn because I'm teaching her. And that was one of them. And I started that really, really early on. And a lot of people were like, oh, it's too early, or she doesn't need that. But I think it helped her be the more advanced baby that she is, and I think it helped her like grow and develop and really think the way she does, because even at 1 year old, like, we see her thinking just differently. And also I just like stuff like that, and I don't think, if it can't hurt the baby, then there's no harm in starting early to me.
Exactly.
There's no nothing was hurting her. It's not like she was being forced to do something. Like, she actually enjoyed it, and the cards have a lot of different colors on them. They're pretty. Like, she's interested in it. It's not hurting her, right? Exactly. So it wasn't to me a big thing. And then the next one that we said we would do again is kind of goes into why we did this for the other one I was talking about, which is no baby talk.
Yeah.
So literally no one in Anna's life baby talks to her. It's not just us. Our family's in total agreement with that one.
Maybe we should clarify what baby talk may even mean.
Like goo goo gaga, that kind of thing. Like, not saying actual words to the baby. Like, we do play with her. Like, we do like mimic her, play games with her. We do talk to her in sweet voices and things like that. But we don't baby talk, and we never really have. We never really have. Like, even when she was a newborn, instead of saying like goo goo gaga, we'd be like, oh, you're so cute, and we would talk in the baby voice and the high pitch, and like to get her attention and to for her to hone in on us. But we would use words, basically, is what I'm saying. And when I'm home with Anna as well, even when she was a newborn, even now, even when she was 6 months, I have conversations with her, like full-on conversations. And she's starting to answer me, in little ways. And even before she can answer me, like, she just absorbs the information. That's what babies do. They absorb information. And I think that the reason she's saying more words than the average the average 1 year old at this point, is probably because she's never been baby talked to. So people are constantly saying words, and it's gonna help her have a bigger vocabulary, which is very important to us. So so no baby talk. I don't baby talk to babies in general. I just talk to words. There's other ways to play with them. There's other ways to be sweet to them. You don't
Absolutely.
have, so it just,
See, next one.
Traveling with your kids early and fitting them into your lifestyle. Yeah, so we love to travel. We've talked about this before on YouTube. We love to do road trips, and we've kind of done more road trips than air travel, I think, together.
True. And I really like to drive, so
if you compare all of our trips together, we've done more road trips than air travel. So obviously it's kind of easier to like jump in your car than to like book a flight sometimes, because you can kind of plan a road trip quicker than you can plan a flight, and sometimes it comes out cheaper depending where you're going.
And with a road trip, it's you, presuming you're the one driving, then it's you the driver. But if it's with a family, then you have there's a lot of logistical stuff, but you all put your brains together to make it work.
Yeah,
and it's been, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
we really do.
And the reason I said put that advice together, which is traveling with your child or putting them into your lifestyle, because it's not just traveling. We chose to travel early with her for multiple reasons. One is because we like to travel and we want her to be exposed to travel very early, like from the get. We want her to have that love because that's a love we want to share as a family. Two was because we have family in other states and we wanted them to meet our baby. Yeah. So we took her when she was 3 months old.
Give or take.
3 months old. With Charlie, we talked about this before.
Yeah, about the 4 months. Yeah.
Well, she hit 4 months while.
No, you're right.
Yeah, so it was like at the end of 3 months to 4 months, because actually while we were on vacation, she turned 4 months. Yep. So, but we were on vacation for a good like 2 weeks almost. So. We did like a 28 hour road trip with her and Charlie, and it wasn't as bad as people make it out to be. It really wasn't.
People just have this image in their heads. Oh my God, a baby crying. Oh my God, a dog barking. All that. That really was not the case. They were actually very quiet the whole time.
They were good, and honestly, it just leading up to it just took a lot of planning.
Yes.
And a lot of like strategic scheduling and like a lot of strategic
getting certain getting certain accessories in play, like, because we don't have a car that has an automatic roof. We don't have a roof rack. We don't. And then to get one professionally installed was a nightmare. So we just went on Amazon. I found one that actually seemed to work, and it worked out because I even tested it. I threw it on top. We had like this little non-slip thing on the mat. You just throw it right on top. We just can use the moonroof.
So making sure you have the right gear to travel. Also making sure the schedule. Like, she was only 3 months. She was still waking up every 3 hours. Yeah. So one thing that we did was I broke night and I had Sam go to sleep. Like, he went to bed. Like we left. We leave really early for our road trips because
earlier than most people.
Yeah, because you don't hit traffic that way. So like probably like we left at like 3 a.m. So because we were leaving at 3 a.m., he actually went to sleep at like 5 p.m.
The day before.
And yeah, right. And then I broke night and just took care of Anna by myself so that he could sleep because he was the driver. And that's kind of how we dealt with that. So that's what I mean by like more strategic planning. Because obviously if we didn't have a baby, we would have just both went to sleep early and woke up early and bam, that's it. But we had to plan for, well, we do have a baby, and also we had to wake up an hour earlier than what we wanted to hit the road because it literally took like an hour to pack the whole car because it's a lot more stuff. So that's what I mean. It just takes more planning and more patience, but it's doable. But why I say also fit the baby into your life is because it's not just traveling. There's like, that was actually a tip from a family therapist that I saw, that she gave that tip to fit the baby into your life. And what they mean is like, some parents feel like when they have kids, they have to give up pieces of themselves. And obviously you do change and your family changes and your family dynamic changes. But like certain things are the same. For example, if you're a traveler, you're always going to love travel. And if you just give up traveling altogether because you had children, you're going to miss it. And it's like a void. So if you're like someone who enjoys doing certain hobbies, try to find ways to fit your kids into those things, and don't just wait till your kids are like 10, 11, 12. Obviously there's certain things that are age appropriate, but in general, if it's something in your lifestyle, try to expose them to them in certain ways as you can, early as you can. That's what I mean by that. And for us, it's travel. And the other one is keeping her in our room for the whole first year.
Yes. Yeah, I mean,
let's talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, we
don't bed share, obviously.
Yeah, it was also recommended by our pediatrician, but we also had
no, it wasn't recommended by our
I thought she said
it wasn't.
So no, you're right. Yeah, you're right. So pediatrician did not recommend this, but we chose to
tell
do
you why.
it
So
because it really was something that was a key point for us.
We are big on sleep safety with Anna and with babies in general, but Anna's our child, so we get to be, do what we want. But we're big on sleep safety, so we don't co-sleep with her. So we had a bassinet in the room, and then as she got bigger, we changed it to a pack and play, and now she's in her own room because she is a year. She's in her own room, she's in her crib, she's loving it. But some people, they recommend that you keep your newborn in your room in a separate bassinet. That's kind of like what the safety standard pediatric American Pediatrics recommends. But everybody kind of does their own version of that, obviously. And a lot of people will tell you, like, when the baby hits like 6 months, 7 months, oh, you should start getting them out of the room. And even the pediatrician was telling us, like, you should get Anna out of the room because, like, you don't want her to get used to the room. Yep. But we weren't so worried about that. I don't know, I just didn't worry about it.
It wasn't for us, it wasn't really that serious, it was just about
I just didn't worry about it because I just didn't worry about it because I think she's pretty adaptable, and also she likes her crib. Like, she would take naps in her crib, but we normally left her in our room for the night.
Exactly. So you alluded to what I was gonna say. We did practice it out, like there were, like, during the day, even during the, like, right before we went on that road trip and things like that, we would put her in her crib for nap time for maybe like an hour, and then she would cry and we take her out, and then, that's how we know. But then at night she would always sleep in our room.
So we knew that she liked her crib, so I wasn't worried that when we did want to transition her, she would transition. I wasn't really worried. But for me, for me, like, because of sleep safety and because of the threat of SIDS and things like that, that really doesn't go away for the first year. And co-sleeping in a separate bassinet or playpen or pack and play has been studied and shown to reduce cases of SIDS and things like that, I guess because you're in close proximity. And for me, that was one reason why we kept her in the room. The other reason why we kept her in the room was honestly convenience in a way, because when she was waking up, like, now she's been sleeping through the night. Besides one night where she was kind of having a hard night with, like, teething and nightmares, she's been sleeping through the night for pretty much this whole last month with no issue, and she's been in her own room and it's been fine. But like I said, she still had those sleep regressions, like 6 months and then 8 months again. So there were times where she was still waking up kind of consistently, and it was kind of harder or whatever, and it makes it easier when she's just in the room and we can just kind of plop her on us, put her back to sleep or give her a bottle if she's a little extra hungry that night or whatever. And most of that was really during, like, a transitional phase, when we had to, like, up the amount of milk, like, or whatever, or transition to solid food, because that's really one of the main, pretty much, I guess, I'm gonna say the only reason, but that's not really, but that's why babies wake up in the middle of the night, because they're hungry. So you need to start upping and, or at least our baby. At least ours was. So for us it was easier, and then it just was instinct as well. I wasn't ready for her to be full-time in her room until she hit. We actually transitioned her a little bit before her first birthday, so she's been in her room for about a month. So I think we transitioned her right when she hit like 11 months. And the other reason too is because we live in New York and the seasons change, and like one of the biggest contributors of SIDS is like when there's too much heat or the temperature is not adequate for the baby, and it was just easier to keep track of that in the room as well. And I don't know, it was also instinct. When people were telling me, oh, it's time to transition her, I wasn't ready. But when she hit 11 months, I was like, you know what? And I didn't think Anna was ready either. So you have to gauge your child as well. Because we did try to move her to her room at one point, a little bit.
When was that?
We tried because people kept telling us, oh, she's, like I think like at 6 or 7 months we tried to like see if she could sleep in her room a couple nights, and she was too young. She would wake up and she would cry for us, and it was making the good sleep that she used to get, it wasn't happening anymore. And like I said, I genuinely think she wasn't emotionally ready. And the other thing of why she would wake up more at that time was because her legs were so small and they could fit through the crib, and when she would move around she would get stuck and she would like freak out. I can't even explain it. Like her legs would get stuck and she would just stay there like and be stuck. And it was not good, and I didn't feel like it was safe, and I didn't feel like she was ready. I didn't feel like I was ready. And when she hit 11 months, that's when I feel like we were both ready, along with my first one of what we wouldn't do. So all those things that we listed prior to this were things that we said, you know what, we're really proud of what we did with Anna in our first year parenting, and we would do these things again. But there are a few things where we're like, we didn't need to buy this, or we didn't need to do this, or maybe we would do this slightly differently. So that actually, my first one goes along with what I just said about her being in our room. I wouldn't buy a crib right away. I wouldn't buy a crib right away because she didn't sleep in it until a little bit later. I probably would buy it around 6 months just so that they could do the thing where they nap in the room during the day and then sleep with you at night, so that they're somewhat used to their room and somewhat used to their crib. But I wouldn't be like, oh, I'm pregnant, we need a crib at like 6 months pregnant, 7 months pregnant, when we're nesting. I wouldn't worry about a crib. I would worry about a pack and play and a bassinet over a crib, because like I said, my kids don't jump right to cribs. I'm not doing that. I'm not jumping her right to a crib. So I wouldn't worry about it because until like 6 or 7 months, when I want her to start transitioning and getting used to it. And then I really wouldn't worry about it until she's going to be full-time in her crib. But to me, they were super expensive.
And we actually got it a little bit earlier even than what she just mentioned, simply because during that time of the pandemic, everything was back ordered, and
we were also going through the adoption process
exactly.
too. So the nursery kind of came together in pieces from the adoption and then the pregnancy.
Exactly. So, and they were like, oh, there's like a 8-week,
but I don't know,
possible delay, so do it now. And then like, it's true, like I forgot when we put the order in, but we literally got the crib a couple weeks before Christmas.
So I don't know if you guys remember that, like, we were going through, I don't know, there's still a little problem, but like it was a big problem back in 2021 when I was pregnant, like shipping issues. And we ordered the crib and we got it like months later. So thank God we did. And when we looked for that same crib when I think we ordered the crib when I was like 5 months pregnant, and we didn't get it till I was like 7 months pregnant. And when we looked to see, just out of curiosity, went to join us for her bottle. But yeah, so I'm talking about the crib. When we did try to look for out of curiosity, they were out of stock for our crib anyway when I was like 7 or 8 months pregnant. And the shipping would have been after my due date. So thank God we planned ahead, because we wouldn't have gotten a crib. And even though looking back, we didn't need it right away, I didn't know that as a first time mom, and it probably would have caused like stress. Thinking that I did need it. Talking about what you don't need, that's my last one of the things I would do differently is, unless I had a winter baby, I wouldn't buy newborn size shoes. No. I would only buy shoes for like size 4 and up, because, and like I would probably, if I did have a winter baby, I would only buy like those little booty kind of shoes to keep them warm. But other than that, I wouldn't buy shoes, because I'll tell you, Anna was born in the spring, and it was hot in the spring and the summer. So literally it didn't get cold until like where she needed shoes until like October, which she was already like,
do the math for me, I have no idea.
April, May, June, July, August, September, October, 7 months old. She was already 7 months old, and even then the winter jacket that we initially got her when she was really little has the footies in it. And then only now that she's starting to walk, and only now that she has the one-piece older little toddler jacket, does she really need shoes. So like all her newborn shoes, honestly, besides cute pictures, they really went to waste, because she really didn't wear shoes. She hates shoes even now. She kicks them off. We're always having to fight with her, but the difference is she has to wear them because she's learning how to walk, and because it's cold. It's too cold to not have shoes, and she has a regular winter jacket now. And then even in the spring, like, she's not gonna have a jacket, it doesn't have footies, she's gonna need shoes, especially because she's walking. But in the newborn stage, they're not walking. It was warm, her feet were fine, and when they did get a little chilly, socks were sufficient, or little booties. But shoes, besides, like I said, cute outfit, cute picture, the usefulness of it went to waste, so I wouldn't even bother. So yeah, that's it, guys. I think for the most part we are really happy with pretty much what we did as first-time parents, and
especially after the first year too.
Especially after the first year, and we're so happy that, you know, she's finally a year old, and we are kind of past the newborn stage, and we'll see what toddlerhood has in store, I guess.
Yes. Thanks again for joining us. I'm Sam. This is Justine from the Bee Bunch family. please drop a comment, you know, if you have some feedback or if you want to see some other videos on, you know, in general, other things that we've talked about parenthood, marriage, and things like that. Please just let us know.
See you guys next week.